can't be doing what they want to do on their own apps. I can't remember my password. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. 'Let me see what the password is. Five 11 8 2 6 G. Oh,
Yeah, we on Boss Talk TV. Shout out to Kiki, the reason you see.
Hey, man, listen, man.
What's gonna happen to Yellow Beezy?
I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this Yellow Beezy case, just
Thank
like
you for
all
liking the
y'all.
video.
Well, just like everybody else. What is going on? What is this trial thing? Crisco was there. OG, you there?
Right here.
All right, let me see if I can get Crisco online. He gonna give us.
This day is all about how rap lyrics can get you ultimately royally screwed. And Instagram is not the place for gangsters, thugs, and gangbangers
Sit in
at war.
ass.
Easy enters the courtroom with spouse, 2 family members, and security guard. He takes a seat behind attorneys.
Cause see, let me tell you, Trap Boy Freddy only married that girl cause he finna go to jail. He definitely finna go to jail. Yellow Bee's not gonna be in jail by herself.
With the same calm demeanor as Thursday. Mo3's mother isn't present in the gallery yet. The 3's family members are in the prosecution side of the gallery. Judge Chica begins day 2 of the trial hearing. The prosecution begins with Detective Eric Barnes on the stand to resume testimony. Barnes testified that Yellow Beezy's song "Hitters" is the first time he heard him rapping about putting money on somebody's head out of Yellow Beezy catalog. Eric Barnes connects.
He going to jail. Definitely motherfucking going to jail.
Right after Mo3
But who y'all gotta watch
Mo
about
3
this
is
ratchet
rapping about
TV?
hearing rumors of someone putting money on his head. Barnes testified that Hitters was released after the Cam Capone interview with Mo 3. The prosecution plays the 2.2 mark of Yellow Beezy's Hitters. Barnes testified that the lyrics in the song matched the investigation. Barnes testified that Yellow Beezy has people that will commit murder for him for money. Yellow Beezy takes a look at the gallery as Detective Barnes describes a UPS CEO never being the one to deliver a package. Barnes testified about the July 2019 Unruly Citizens concert flyer in Frisco, Texas with Yellow Beezy and Mo 3 on it. Barnes testified that he and Detective Jabari Howard coordinated with the...
He going to jail. Let's check out Nolan Wells. See what Nolan Wells. Good bitch to you. Good dick sucking ass bitch to you.
It appears that there is some more info coming.
And let me
Apparently,
report dick
there
suckers.
is
All dick
some
suckers being reported.
GPS data that's now popping up for the boat that he was on before his disappearance.
All dick suckers
And also
being reported.
Benjamin Crump is also having another press conference after he just met with the DA along with the family. Let's listen to the new info first, though.
Earlier today, the family of Nolan Wells met with the district attorney who confirmed the investigation will eventually be turned over to a grand jury. They're still wondering what happened to the 18-year-old on the July 4th weekend. Let's bring in Anna Schechter, who runs our crime unit. She's joining us right now. Anna, so what are we learning about those new details in this case? What can you tell us?
Well, we actually have obtained new movement records, GPS data. Our Jared Eggleston and Skylar Henry down in Mississippi obtained this from a Mississippi entity, and it actually shows exactly where the boat left from.
Now listen.
When it arrived
The
at
boat.
Island, you're seeing as that's
The boat was parked in front of the judge's house. The reason the boat was parked in front of the judge's house is because they knew that that baby was on the boat dead, and they was waiting to go drop him back off on the island.
Rolls down on your screen there. You're seeing that July 4th, that tracking movement, the vessel reaching Horn Island around 11:14 a.m. And then we also see when the boat left. Now, as we've been reporting, Nolan Wells was not on that boat, although his keys and phone were.
He was on that boat.
So we see the boat then go and actually dock
Listen,
at
dick
a
sucker.
location.
I'm reporting all dick suckers. Don't come in here fucking with me with your misinformation, bitch. Because guess what? I never met somebody that died from smoking. I never met somebody that got cancer from smoking, bitch. Hold on, pause, because these hoes is interrupting me. First of all, I never seen anybody die from smoking, bitch. People that die from lung cancer, they never smoked a day in their goddamn life. So don't come in here fucking with me. That's just like straight men get colon cancer. Punks don't. You know why? Because they douche that booty hole, bitch. Don't come fucking with me. Didn't I say get your dick sucking ass out of here? I said I'm reporting all dick suckers. Get out of here. Get your motherfucking ass out of here with your... Go kill yourself. Nah. Go kill yourself. Come fucking with me, telling me to stop smoking. Bitch, you think I'm finna not be high because you don't like watching it? Bitch, if you don't like watching it, get the fuck out of here.
It's kind of interesting that so they met with the DA.
I'm watching this, bitch. You watching me? Watch this.
Turned over to the grand jury.
Dick eating ass bitch.
Well, I'm guessing these suspects must be all of the people that were on the boat then. Because usually when you turn over to the grand jury, you usually have to identify at least some type of suspect.
Damn, bitch, you still in here?
To charge.
Get your bitch ass out of here. Still in here fucking with me.
Crimes. I did see another update on crimes. Or maybe we should just listen to Ben Crump, right?
Ryder Hardy. Get your bitch ass out of here.
Benjamin Crump with the update.
Don't come here fucking with me.
Okay,
It's too much. Too much happening to these young black babies. But
Good morning. I'm a turn.
at the same time, the young black babies is putting their own self in these situations. Nigga, why would you go? All of the slave stories you done heard, all of the slave stories you done heard, bitch, why is you getting on a boat with all the motherfucking white folks? I have no earthly idea. Don't get on the boat with all the motherfucking white folks. There's too many goddamn white folks.
Ben Crump, along with Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Eric Harris, Justin Preston, and Cliff Jones. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. We have present with us his mother and father, Christine and Elmore.
Elmore.
We've just had an opportunity.
Hold the fucking phone. The daddy name is Elmore. I don't know. If first of all, I wouldn't have let my kids get on no motherfucking boat with no whole bunch of white folks. That's just what it is. I don't give a fuck what's going on. Bitch, you ain't finna go on no boat with all them white folks, because I'm not getting on no boat with all no white folks. My kids ain't finna get on no boat with no whole bunch of Africans, bitch, no whole bunch of Chinese, no whole bunch of nothing but they own. Elmore. Elmore should have had better sense than that, but the names, bitch. His name is Elmore and the mama is light skinned. That's the problem. That's the motherfucking problem.
Opportunity to meet with District Attorney Angel McGrath and some members of her team. We had a very respectful meeting. The thing I assume some of you may know, the thing to announce, she shared with the family that there will be a grand jury, that she will turn this case.
And you know what? I'm going to tell y'all something else. The mama is very smart. The lady she kept saying her friend when it got to her son's phone, she specified this bitch name. I forgot what her name was. But she specified the bitch name. She said, my friend such and such went and got his phone. I put on there, I think such and such knew what happened to the motherfucking body. That baby ain't just died like that. And shame on the police. And thank God the mama and the daddy had some money, bitch. Because if they ain't had no money, they couldn't do all this. But with a name like Elmore, bitch, you got all the money. Elmore.
They have collected all the information and finished their investigation. We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hertz is helping lead the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone down.
Must be a robot.
Will be able to see at the same time.
You must be a robot.
Cell phone has. We also talked about trying to make sure we dot every I and cross every T. I know that we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day.
Nigga, you ain't him.
From people who were there.
Because if you was him, you would know who I was and you wouldn't be fucking with me like that. You ain't him. Because if you was him, you'd know who I was. And you don't know who I am, so you're not him. And I am the hot oracle. Everybody got to come see me.
Long Island, Mississippi. Is this how it looks? 18-year-old Nolan Wells, a star athlete and strong swimmer, vanishes during a boat trip with friends. By the time his body is found 2 days later on the island's northwest tip, the celebration.
I'm funny, but I ain't to be fucking
death investigation
or play.
Lots of unanswered
and you
questions.
like to fucking play with.
Early on, reports indicated that Nolan stayed on the island without his friends voluntarily, but his family has raised some questions about whether or not that's actually true.
My sister and I actually went through Nolan's
God.
When we opened it up, there was nothing.
Damn. Reverend Al Sharpton. God damn. His perm fucked out of.
There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day.
One fact that some say doesn't add up is Nolan's cell phone. Why would he stay on Horn Island and not keep his cell phone?
Right.
Attorney Ben Crump has been hired by the family.
Hey, you know you can't pull that cell phone out the kid's hand.
One of them is telling the truth. One of them is not. We have to get to the bottom of that.
At this point, the autopsy results aren't even in, so it's really difficult to figure out what actually happened to Nolan.
That's what we need to be worried about, the autopsy.
Or did something criminal happen on that fatal trip? Until the investigation is completed, it's hard to come to any conclusion.
Well, because we didn't get the autopsy
July
before.
4th. It was a day to celebrate, and it ends up being the end of the life of Nolan Wells. And for all involved, it's a trap, and it's not crystal clear yet. It's far from crystal clear.
This is
what we do know
child. This is
Nolan was
fucked
out
up.
that day. He was out with friends. He wasn't, surrounded by
Nigga,
strangers.
don't come in here with no bullshit. We in here watching TV, bitch. If you don't want to watch TV, get your motherfucking ass out of here. Let me get your dick eating ass out of here. Yeah, bitch, let me get you out of here, because I'm finna report your bitch ass for child abuse. Report that bitch. Report you, bitch, for child abuse. Remove that bitch ass.
Maybe it's not. But then there's a cover up, and it makes it even worse for
Remove your bitch ass.
That's if
your bitch ass out here with that bullshit.
Involved with what happened to
Next people
Wells.
coming, how much is that time?
And one reason a lot of people are concerned is the issue of the cell phone. Nolan Wells, the story, hey, voluntarily, I'll stay on the island. I'll stay on the island without my cell phone. Why would you do that?
Right.
Unless something else happened and the cell phone was sort of an afterthought. I mean, that issue needs to be cleared up because it's a big deal.
Yeah, so like, let's just say it was. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, let's just say he did stay on the island. Because he's like, fuck y'all, I'ma stay on the island, fuck y'all. Oh wait, my cell phone. But they already got on the boat. And they keep stressing that he's a strong swimmer. So let's just say he's swimming. And then something happened. Bitch, I don't know. This whole shit sound fucking
The communications on the cell phone as well. So that's really, to me, one of the keys to unlocking what happened here. Now, for investigators, they need to be transparent in this case.
Academics
This is
is
one
listening.
of those
He ain't
cases
saying
that involves the trust or lack of trust of.
That's the problem with this current case, right? So there's nothing public. We don't have an autopsy report. The police report is going to be pretty thin because they're not even saying this is a homicide. We have no heavy ruling. We do have some conversations by the people who.
Oh, I should have filmed it that way,
Nothing
but I
that's
didn't.
really leading us anywhere. We just have a lot of doubts, and we have a lot of skepticism that this shit was on the up and up. The keys left on the boat, the phone left on the boat kind of gives thought to maybe he planned to return to the boat.
Right.
And the boat, for whatever reason, just wasn't
left him. Right.
Or maybe he died. And that's why he doesn't have his stuff. But what doesn't make sense is, yo, I'm about to go holler at a girl. So you gonna go holler at a girl without your phone, bro? That's in the without.
The system.
So the toxicology report is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. It could even be up to a month.
Investigators need to do anything and everything they can to make sure the public trusts the results of the investigation, but even more importantly, that the family does. And I think they took one step towards that today by setting up a meeting with the family and their attorneys and representatives. The DA meeting with Nolan's family and with Ben Crump, their attorney. And the family came out and spoke afterwards with Ben Crump. Let's take a listen to what they had to say after meeting for the first time with the district attorney.
There will be a grand jury that she will turn this case over to once they have collected all the information and finished their investigation. We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts, so everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has.
That's from WLOX, and that's important. That's good to hear. The cell phone, the mutual, this is unusual, right? That a cell phone will be looked at from the experts from, the government, from the state, from prosecutors, as the family's own experts are looking at it. So that's extremely unusual, but a good step towards transparency. You want the...
And the way they're going to look at a cell phone, it's not like one person has a cell phone so the other can't have it. They're going to do a dump of it, right? So they're going to take the cell phone to Cellbrite. That's a really popular place that the cops use to kind of get an image of the cell phone, no matter if it's locked or whatever. They can see past deletions. They can see... It's a really like transparent look into how a phone was even used into even hours before it was seized or whatever. Yeah, you can have experts both look at that. It'll also show if it was tampered with. Oh, it shows activity on the phone after he died. Well, how does that make sense? Or it shows activity on the phone after the boat left. We have GPS evidence now, so there's going to be a lot of time. You got to match the time. Okay, so the boat is coming back. He's not on the boat. According to them, he stayed. Who's on his phone? How is this thing get deleted right afterwards? So, not saying that happened, but these are going to be some key things that you're going to analyze in looking at the cell phone image.
Family first to trust the results. If the family trusts the results, there's a much greater chance that the public will trust them as well. So I want to walk through a timeline right now, because I think to get the big picture of what happened over the course of those 2 days ending with the tragic death of Nolan Wells. Friday, July 3rd, we begin. Nolan Wells left his family to spend the night with friends ahead of the holiday weekend. All right, so that's going with friends. Like I said, this is important. He's with friends. He's not with enemies. He's with people he knows, people he trusts, people that like him. Then on Saturday, July 4th, Nolan Wells joined friends for a boat trip to Horn Island. That afternoon, the group returned to the mainland, but without Nolan. Without Nolan. Okay, that's unusual, right? The group goes out and then the group comes back -1. Family members reported Nolan missing that night after getting a call from one of the friends around 11 p.m. So to me, that timeline's important. Like, you return without your friend, okay, but why are you returning without your friend? True. And at what point do you get concerned that your friend's nowhere to be seen? And if you leave him on an island, how is he supposed to get back?
So he was supposed to get back with catch a ride with someone else. Well, there's a lot of questions to be asked. If someone, did he know some other people that were there? There's a lot of questions to really be asked, man. Did he know someone else that was there? Was that assumed to be the ride that he was going to catch back? And you tell me your homie says, yo, I'm staying because I'm trying to bag a bitch. And at no point, y'all are all friends. Like, you know what I would text my friend? Yo, bro, what's up with Shorty? If she going, like, I'm texting you about that shit already. Like, yo, it don't take that long to bag a hoe. Like, what we doing? So I'm already texting you like, yo, Joe, what's up with Shorty? Like, what's good? So if nobody hits you, are these really your friends?
What was the plan there?
Oh, his phone's on the boat. Oh yeah, chat. My bad. Yo, that's kind of the dumbest part about it. How do y'all just take that nigga phone?
What was the plan? There has to be an overall plan. You don't just like get off a boat on a small little island and say, okay, swim back. That's not the way it works. So, to me, those are some of the questions I have. And what is it at 11 p.m.? What happens that makes a friend say, okay, I need to call his parents because there's a problem. There's a problem. Why the worry all of a sudden at that moment, at that time? Now, on Sunday, July 5th, his parents get possession of his cell phone after tracking it to a house on land.
Now, that's on some sus. Why not just, if the parents are now in a frantic mood looking for their kid through the phone, how doesn't it come to your attention if you brought it off the boat to a house? Yo, let me go drop off his phone home because I wouldn't know if he even got home or not. Let me just go by his crib. Let me try to drop off the phone. Right? Why would you not be proactive in, even if he didn't get home, let me just leave it and let his mom know. Unless maybe it's one of those where it's like, if I let his mom know that we left him, or we let his mom know that he's out there with some girls, she might get in trouble. But even then, it's like, how do you keep the phone at your house when people looking?
Whoa, put the brakes on that for a second. Why do they have to track down the cell phone? Why? Like, did someone didn't know that they had his cell phone? Like, how did that work? How did they end up with the cell phone? Why did they have it? Why did they not know that they had it all along? Why did it have to be tracked down by the parents? Also, on the 5th, Jackson County Sheriff's Department announced they were coordinating with the United States Coast Guard and Mississippi's Department of Marine Resources to search the island. And this is where things ramped up, right? We've got a missing person we need to find, this young man. And then on Monday, July 6th, that's when he's recovered from the water near the shoreline. But what exactly happened? How did he end up there? What caused his death? When did he die? A lot of unanswered questions. And a lot of those unanswered questions were put forth in the first press conference by the family. Ed Crump was there, Mom was there, Christine, Dad, Eleanor was there as well. Reverend Al Sharpton was also there. So let's take a listen to what they had to say at the first press conference in trying to figure out, okay, what happened to this young man?
And when I received the word of what happened to Nolan and began...
Yo, how come we only see Al Sharpton and shit like this? Like, yo, where this nigga been at, man?
Hearing what was pieced together, it is clear that this situation must have the most thorough and objective investigation to lead to justice. What we've been told does not make sense. And being that there is lack of confidence in the local authorities who have already, in my judgment, seemed to mishandle where it was going. Because to just immediately, before a week time, saying there was nothing done wrong, when we hear that this young man was engaged in some kind of argument that was on tape, that his cell phone and keys ended up with one of the people that were there on the island and got away. He was one black with 3 young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys. Then there's just too many questions that they should not be closing the investigation.
And so, I'm going to get to that in a moment, these glaring contradictions, but to try to say, we're suggesting it was just an accident or drowning, we can go ahead and move on. Well, they are not accepting it. They are not accepting it. They want to know that you have not taken the path of least resistance, that you have done a full, complete, thorough, impartial investigation, because it cannot be lost on everybody, but especially us in the black community. If the roles were reversed and you had 3 young black men on a boat with a young white man, and that young white man ended up dead, what kind of investigation would be being conducted by the Mississippi law enforcement officials? How many times would those 3 young black men be interrogated? So all we're asking is the same consideration you would have given if the roles were reversed. Give that consideration to this family as well. That is our fight. The glaring contradictions.
All right, man. I can't listen to Benjamin Crumb talk to us too long, bro. I ain't gonna get with you, bro. That's the parents of these people's houses because they'll never be a homeless situation. The keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really like in distrust with you. But as far as the night goes, if I knew anyone had a...
This is one of the last photos ever taken of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Just a kid spending 4th of July weekend on a boat with people he called friends. They make it safely back to the mainland, but a couple of days later, he's found dead on the island. But before we get into what happened, take a look at this. This video has exploded all over social media.
Is he seen in the video?
According to Nolan's family's attorney, that's him yelling, "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?" Investigators aren't ready to say that yet. They're still trying to determine exactly what this video shows. But either way, it's become one of the biggest pieces of this entire investigation. And once you hear the rest of this story, you'll understand why. But before we get into all of that, I have to ask, how does something happen to an 18-year-old, an accident or otherwise, on one of the busiest weekends of the year on an island packed with people and nobody sees it? I'm Chris. Let's recap what we know. Around here, he was a hometown star. First one to work, last one to complain. His life was just getting started. It's gorgeous white sand, crystal clear water. It's where people go to spend the day just hanging out. In a tight coastal town like Ocean Springs, the water is a way of life. Spending the weekends out on the barrier islands is just a local rite of passage, especially on the 4th of July. And this one was no different. Nolan joined friends and boated out there on Saturday, something they'd all done before. But here's the catch. Once you're out there, you're on your own. There are no stores, no restaurants, no lifeguards, no drinking water, and maybe most important, no cell service. The only way on or off that island is by boat, and on a holiday weekend like the 4th of July, the place is absolutely packed. Hundreds of boats, hundreds of people. But even with all those eyes around, there are still some pretty big holes in the timeline. But we do know this. When it was time to head back to the mainland, Nolan didn't get on the boat. According to the friends he came with, that was his decision. He was talking to a girl and wanted to stay behind to keep hanging out with her. They say he told them he was going to catch a ride back later with a different group. Investigators have never publicly identified who that other group was supposed to be. So, who was this girl? Early on, social media was convinced she was Nolan's girlfriend. She wasn't. According to Nolan's family and public statements, they were simply friends who happened to run into each other on the island. They spent part of the afternoon talking and hanging out. That's it. Now, back to the friends. They told him...
Wait. So they know what girl this is? Bro, they know what girl this is. also got to think about her. Shorty, that's a good confirmation right there. Were you hanging out with him while the boat left? Why didn't it have the phone?
Investigators, the last time they saw Nolan was around 3 that afternoon. About an hour and a half later, around 4:30, they say they left the island because their boat's bilge pump was failing and it was taking on water. And according to them, Nolan chose to stay behind. But Nolan's family says he'd never do that. He knew that, quote, if you come with 5, you leave with 5. And here's where the story takes a big turn. According to the girl, they hung out for a while that day, but when they split up, she says Nolan told her he was going back to his friends and getting on the boat with them, which is a very different story. And then there's this question. How did Nolan's phone end up back on the mainland? Okay, let's go back to that night for a minute. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, around 11 p.m. on the 4th of July, one of Nolan's friends calls them. The Coast Guard wouldn't tell WLOX what was said, only that the call didn't require Coast Guard assistance. A few minutes later, around 11:07, Nolan's mom says she gets a call from one of Nolan's friends. WLOX reports she hasn't publicly shared what was said, but after the call, she checks Life 360. That's when she notices something. Nolan's phone is already back on the mainland. At first, that sounds crazy. I mean, what 18-year-old isn't glued to their phone? But there's no cell service on Horn Island, and locals say plenty of people leave their phones and keys on the boat while they're swimming or hanging out on the beach. So if all of Nolan's stuff was still on that boat, why would he let them leave with it? And when his family finally gets his phone and keys back later that night, something jumps out. Nolan was always taking pictures, always posting to Snapchat, but according to them, there isn't a single photo or video from the fort, even though they checked before the 24-hour automatic expiration. So the search for him kicks off on Sunday afternoon. Deputies, the Coast Guard, and volunteers are all over the island and the waters around it. But it's too late. At about 8:45 a.m. on July 6th, a National Park Service ranger spots Nolan's body in the marsh near the northwestern tip of the island. He was allegedly found in roughly the same area where he was last seen. So, is that strange? Well, maybe not. The United Cajun Navy has searched these waters for years, and they say the currents could explain it. Here's what they told Law and Crime.
When he went into the water, however he got into the water, he didn't go that far out before he drowned because it only took like a couple of days for him to drift right back south to the tip of the island, same tip of the island where he was last seen. Had he gone a lot further out, he probably would have gotten sucked into the ship channel and pushed way further south toward the Chandelier Islands.
Fair enough, but let's say it wasn't a swimming accident. How did he end up in the water in the first place? And this is where the case really starts taking off online. Within hours of Nolan being found, videos, photos, and theories started flooding social media. One video especially took off online. Now, there are a lot of AI videos floating around in this case, but this is the clip the Wells family attorney, Ben Crump, shared on his Instagram. Investigators haven't said whether it's authentic or even connected to Nolan. What they have done is ask anyone who was near the northwest tip of Horn Island that day to send in their original photos and videos, especially anything showing an argument or disturbance. Take a look. Judge, whose family had been linked to the case, had briefly deactivated her social media. That only fueled more speculation. Then she later put out this statement saying her family was fully cooperating with investigators. By this point, the story wasn't just local news anymore. More speculation. Then people noticed a Jackson County judge whose family had been linked to the case had briefly deactivated her social media. That only fueled more speculation. Then she later put out this statement saying her family was fully cooperating with investigators. By this point, the story wasn't just local news anymore, because Nolan is a black teenager who'd been left behind by a group of white friends. The case caught the attention of civil rights leaders across the country, but the sheriff says race has nothing to do with the investigation and insists they're handling it like any other case. Nolan's parents weren't convinced. They wanted another set of eyes on everything, so that's when they brought in Ben Crump. So, where does the investigation stand right now? Just keep in mind, this is still a developing case. By the time you're watching this, there could already be new information. But as we're recording, the sheriff says investigators haven't found any evidence a crime was committed. Right now, they believe Nolan probably drowned. That doesn't mean they're done investigating. They say they're still following every lead. And investigators say there's something else to consider. Even really athletic people like Nolan can still get caught in a rip current. The United Cajun Navy talked about that with CBS News. Here's what they had to say.
If you're not suspecting of it or you don't even know about it, even if you're a strong swimmer, you could be swept off your feet and carried out a couple hundred yards before you even have a chance to react.
The official autopsy and toxicology reports for his cause of death haven't been released yet, but the Wells family isn't waiting for the investigation to play out on its own. They're getting an independent autopsy. And interestingly, former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick is chipping in some money for that, according to People.com. And Nolan's parents are also asking anyone who was on the island that day to come forward with original photos and videos that could help fill in the gaps in the timeline. So, for now, that's where this case stands. We'll keep following this case as new information comes out, and if...
Interesting. Yeah, I'm really intrigued in this. A lot of questions. We're going to get some answers. Unfortunately, it's going to be the trickle effect until law enforcement really gives some definitive word, or we get something that's a smoking gun. So, I don't know. Too many questions, too many non-answers. We will continue to kind of follow it and hope to find whatever is the truth. If unfortunately he died just swimming, and no foul play, nothing around it that makes it weird. Hopefully that's, everyone will be okay with that if that's what the evidence shows. And if there's something else more nefarious, hopefully we can get to the bottom of that as well, all right? Chat, I'm going to call it here. A little bit shy of 4 hours, but you guys know how it is. It was a late stream today, so I do apologize for the late start. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll try to get an earlier stream going on. I don't have as much to do tomorrow as I had today, so I'll hopefully hop on a little bit earlier. I do thank you guys for tuning in. No matter if you're watching on Kick, if you're watching on YouTube or wherever else, I appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully you're thoroughly entertained. I'm big in the chat, man. See y'all.
let me see. So they say they not gonna invite us over. Oh damn! I got a new strain I'm trying to try. Let me go ahead and get it right quick. Let me and I'm gonna give me some water. Get on! Y'all be pissing me off. You ain't said nothing about me leaving that refrigerator open. That water still ain't got nothing on this water. Yeah, that spring water good. And that's another thing I need to do, drink more water. Because I ain't been drinking no water. City of me to think that you could ever live it. Let me see. Only for you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do my hair. Joe, what you got going on over there? You going to work tomorrow? Why they pissed you out Saturday? Let's roll this beautiful bean footage this way. Let's roll it this way.
events that transpired after approximately 3 p.m. to when he went into the water, that's what remains a mystery.
A 4th of July beach celebration darkens when 18-year-old Nolan Wells vanishes.
If you're going out towards Horn Island, I need you to keep your eyes out for 18-year-old Nolan Wells.
His body washes up days later and brings with it question after question.
Why did this kid leave them the cell phone if that's what actually happened?
But it's clear that there's been a significant period of time between the boat leaving, the last time Nolan was seen, and this boat getting back to its original owner.
What we've been told does not make sense.
Now, the family and the world are demanding answers.
And we're talking about the Deep South. We're talking about a very charged political time. We're talking about one black kid with several white kids. There is a scenario under which there could potentially be something to hide.
Here's everything we know so far. A complete timeline in the death of Nolan Wells. This is Scandal, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Sierra Gillespie. The 4th of July is supposed to be a time to celebrate with family and friends. This year, being America's 250th, was an even bigger celebration. I mean, it's an excuse to go out and grill, have some summer drinks, maybe even hit the beach. And that's exactly what 18-year-old Nolan Wells and his friends did. Head off to a small little island off the coast of Mississippi. And by all accounts, it started out as a fun day. Nolan even reportedly had his eyes on a girl at one point, some young, fun summer love. But you're watching Scandal. And that means that's not where our story ends. That's only where it begins. With it, a mystery that we still don't have answers for. Why exactly did Nolan Wells separate from his friends? Did he drown? Was there foul play? Why would he leave his cell phone and keys with his friends? And would this investigation be treated any differently had Nolan Wells been white? We're going through all of those questions and more, giving you a complete timeline up to the point of this recording. So let's begin with who Nolan was. He was born on August 19th, 2007, making him only 18 years old at the time of his death. He grew up in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. It's a coastal town.
Girl, we ain't finna watch out of it. Please, not.
There are 3 major developments landing in this case at once, and tomorrow brings a 4th moment this family has been dreading for over 2 weeks. First, the FBI has finally put its role in this case in writing, on the record, in full. Second, the young woman at the center of this case's biggest unresolved contradiction has broken her own silence, not through a relative, not through a secondhand post, but face to face with Nolan's own mother. Third, somewhere in this story, a family connected to this case has become the target of an actual threat, serious enough that federal resources are now involved. And fourth, tomorrow, Nolan Wells will be laid to rest. Tonight, before that happens, we're going through everything that's landed in the past few days carefully and separating what's officially confirmed from what's still being reported secondhand. For weeks, the question of exactly why the FBI was involved in this case had only been answered in fragments, a line here, a comment there. This week, the Bureau's Jackson field office released an actual, complete public statement, and it's worth hearing in full. The statement reads that while the FBI has assisted with certain aspects of the investigation using federal tools and partnerships that have proved valuable, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office is leading and will continue to lead this investigation. It describes a trusting, effective partnership between Jackson County and the FBI built over many years of working side by side on complex cases. It says the FBI has been supporting Jackson County from day one in the effort to gather information and find answers for the Wells family and the broader community. And it closes by saying the FBI remains ready to assist further, particularly where federal resources might expand local capacity in the hope of bringing clarity and peace of mind to the people who love Nolan. It's worth pausing on the tone of that statement, because tone matters here as much as content. This isn't a press release announcing a breakthrough or a dramatic escalation. It reads almost like a reassurance, careful, measured, and explicitly designed to lower the temperature around a question that had been generating real anxiety for days. Somebody at that field office clearly understood that federal involvement, left unexplained, was doing more to fuel speculation than to comment, and chose to address that directly in writing, rather than let rumor keep filling the gap. This matters because up until now, a lot of speculation had filled the space where an actual answer should have been. Some of that speculation treated
when it was
FBI
storming,
involvement as proof the case had been quietly
when I was doing
escalated
a
to something
color.
far more serious. Some of it
I got
treated the
all
Bureau's
the
presence
recordings.
as
I got
evidence of a cover-up in
everything.
progress, federal agents supposedly
He made
stepping
my
in to
job
manage
so
the story
hard.
rather than investigate it. This statement doesn't support either read. It confirms real, meaningful federal involvement, tools, partnerships, expertise, while explicitly stating Jackson County remains the lead agency, start to finish. It's support, not command. That distinction is worth holding on to every time this case gets discussed going forward. It's also worth thinking about why this kind of clarification took this long to arrive. Federal agencies are often reluctant to comment publicly on active investigations at all, and the fact that the FBI chose to break that pattern here, issuing a full, on-record statement rather than simply declining comment, suggests they recognized how much damage the ambiguity itself was doing. Silence, in a case already this saturated with speculation, doesn't read as neutral. It reads as confirmation of whatever theory happens to be circulating loudest. Choosing to speak even carefully was itself a decision with consequences, and it's one worth crediting even as we stay clear-eyed about what the statement does and doesn't actually confirm.